Congressman Jim McGovern of Massachusetts has sent a letter to House Speaker Pelosi requesting that she hold off on war funding. And Democratic Congressman Jerrold Nadler of New York has also signed on to that letter. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I guess the question is, what are we fighting for in Afghanistan? Can you discern the president's strategy? Let's hear your best version, Congressman McGovern, of what you believe is the president's war policy. And the same thing I'm going to ask of Congressman Nadler.
Well, of all the problems that this president inherited from George Bush, the war in Afghanistan is the one that gets more and more complicated with each passing day. In the last month, I've lost two of my constituents. Two brave young men from Fall River, Massachusetts, lost their lives fighting in Afghanistan. And we need to get this right. The McChrystal interview and the comments by a lot of leading military experts and have raised a lot of questions. And even the president is fudging on the date that we will begin withdrawal. So we need to get this right.
Well, let me go back to Congressman Nadler. Your thoughts. Give me a perspective. Who are we fighting? What do we hope to achieve? What's your sense of the actual war strategy right now? I know we've got rules of engagement, which basically say don't shoot anybody unless they're shooting at us, because that means they're a civilian.
Well, I don't think there are any good answers to any of those questions, which is why I think we ought to rapidly withdraw from Afghanistan, because I don't understand the strategy or the goal. We originally went into Afghanistan because we said Al-Qaeda has base camps there from which they're planning attacks on the United States. We ought to get rid of those base camps. We ought to eliminate them. We did. We said, all right, the Taliban were helping Al-Qaeda, and we punished them. But now the mission seems to have morphed into we have to remake the government of Afghanistan. We have to put it on a solid footing. We have to get its writ to run in the whole country, which no government in Kabul has ever been able to do. We have to remake the whole government. That is beyond our capability, and frankly, it's none of our business.
Well, I guess the question is, can we do what the British couldn't do, what the Soviets couldn't do? Can we create a sort of government-wide or country-wide government for that country? Here's what the president said yesterday about the timetable for withdrawal from Afghanistan. Let's listen, because it's quite different from what Joe Biden is saying, the vice president. Let's listen to the president.
We did not say that starting July 2011, suddenly there would be no troops from the United States or allied countries in Afghanistan. We didn't say we'd be switching off the lights and closing the door behind us. What we said is we'd begin a transition phase in which the Afghan government is taking on more and more responsibility.
Well, that seems to run counter, as I said, to what Vice President Biden told author Jonathan Alder. Quote, here's what Biden said: in July of 2011, you're going to see a whole lot of people moving out. Bet on it. So Joe Biden there, the vice president, Congressman McGovern, seems to be talking to the Democratic left, if you will, the base, while the president seems to be talking to the center or the right. Are they talking with what we used to say in cowboy movies, with a forked tongue here?
What we need is a clearly defined mission, Chris, which we don't have right now. And when you go to war, there's a beginning, a middle, a transition period, and an end. We don't know how this ends. And again, I mean, there's mixed signals coming from the White House. You know, the Republicans just yesterday told the American people that we can't afford to extend unemployment benefits for those who are out of work right now, millions of our fellow citizens, because we don't have the money. Yet, when it comes to supporting President Karzai, a corrupt and incompetent leader, we're a bottomless pit. When we need some clarity here, but that clarity needs to include an exit strategy, which we don't have right now.
Let me ask you, Congressman Nadler, what's the difference between the Bush strategy in Afghanistan and the Obama strategy? Because we know this. We have the same Secretary of Defense, and now we have the same Field Commander, Petraeus. So we got Gates, Petraeus. The only thing missing is W himself. What's the difference in the two policies? Can you discern it?
I cannot discern a difference other than a stated intention to begin withdrawing either small numbers or large numbers of troops by a date certain in July of August of 2011. But frankly, both the Obama administration and the Bush administration seem intent on using American military force to prop up a corrupt government and to bring a settlement to a 30-year civil war in that country. I don't believe, as I said before, it's our business to do that. I don't believe it's our capability to do that. We ought to use our troops and our funding to protect the United States and our allies. Al-Qaeda is an enemy, and wherever Al-Qaeda is, it makes sense to disrupt their operations. But we're told there are fewer than 100 Al-Qaeda in the entire country.
Let's go to what General Petraeus has said. He seems to be the authority figure, gentlemen, on this whole issue. Here he is on June 16th, just a few days ago. He testified on the Hill, and here's what he had to say. Let's look at this right now about the timetable. Let's listen.
It is important that July 2011 be seen for what it is, the date when a process begins based on conditions, not the date when the U.S. heads for the exits.
Who sets those conditions? General Petraeus, who's a hawk, Congressman McGovern and Congressman Nadler, or the president, who's somewhat of a centrist on this issue? Who decides when conditions have been met?
Well, the President of the United States is our commander-in-chief. He makes these decisions in consultation with General Petraeus. But there is no exit strategy, and I think General Petraeus' comments just amplify that fact. We don't know how this is going to end. We've been there for 10 years. And as Congressman Nadler said, we were originally going after al-Qaeda. You know, al-Qaeda is now moved to other places. What we need to do is we need to find a way to extricate ourselves from Afghanistan, get the Afghan government to stand up and do its job, and we need to then go after the enemy, those who are responsible for killing so many of our people on September 11th. Al-Qaeda is our enemy, and we need to redirect our efforts to getting to them.
Okay, Congressman Nadler, last word.
Yeah, the Taliban are not nice people, and I would hate to be an Afghani if they were ruling. But there are a lot of not nice people ruling a lot of different countries, and it's not our job and it's not our capability to set every country aright. We have to invest our resources where it's important to defend us and our allies. And right now, I just don't see Afghanistan as being one of those places.
Okay, thank you very much, Congressman Jim McGovern and Congressman Jerrold Nadler of New York.